Hello, and welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Nouran, and today I got to talk to the musician, Peter Serrado. Without any further ado, here is the interview. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. First thing I'm going to ask you is, how would you describe the music that you typically create?
It's a tough question. I'm sort of all over the place, filled with a ton of influences. But I'd say it's definitely a folk pop rock sound, the blend of the three. And but it definitely carries a variety of influences from, Bruce Springsteen, Bryan Adams to, indie folk music. It's all driven from a folk background too. So especially my first album, it's all the songs started as folk songs, and then the production not so much, but the production was a little catered to a European market. But it's definitely coming from a folk, soulful pop rock background.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when did you realize you had the passion for music?
I always had the passion. Well, I mean, to answer your question, I guess when I was young, right off the bat, when I was a baby, my mom, she would she would hold me in her arms while we watched the Grand Ole Opry. That's how I kind of that initiated something, I guess, that well, I was too young to to know anything about music, but it was the only way I was able to sleep was through through watching, through being in my mom's arms while she was dancing to the Grand Ole Opry. So, and then after that, as I was growing up, I was introduced to vinyl, and I listened to a ton of records. And my first record was an Elvis record, and I would sit in front of it on my couch, and I would try and pretend I was Elvis, and try and do the dance moves. I'm a terrible dancer, by the way, but whatever, fake it till you make it. But from there, I had this curiosity in music. I couldn't stay away from that record player. And from there, basically my first big toy was a Fisher Price guitar. And then more living room concerts by myself, on the couch. And then I started singing karaoke. And then from there, I was always a little timid, growing up till I was 18. That's kind of when I started the career path. But before that, I guess I always had that passion for music, but I didn't know if I wanted to make it a living, make it a career. But it did start from a young age, when I picked up my first guitar and started singing, and my parents were like, "Hey, you got a pretty good voice. You should do something with it." Like, all right, yeah, maybe I will. But music has always been there. That passion has always been there through everything that, through the records that I've heard, through concerts that I've been to. It's always been there. That love, that drive for it. So.
Absolutely. And what would you say is your favorite aspect of being an artist and a musician?
Just being able to, I tend to internalize my emotions and the way I feel. So music is almost therapeutic for me. So being an artist is very therapeutic for me. I get to create, I get to write, about my own experiences, my own feelings and thoughts. And the fact that not only does it help me, but it can help others, if they relate to the song, if they relate to the sentiment of the song, or the meaning, or the emotion behind it. I think that's what makes being an artist so attractive to me. That's what I really like about it.
Absolutely. And speaking about writing music, could you describe us a little more your creative process when you write new music?
Creative process isn't, there's no, for me, a lot of people, a lot of artists have a formula, let's say. I don't really have a formula, but To me, it all starts with honesty. I'm big on words. I'm big with the lyrics and the meaning behind songs. So I'll always start off with words more than often. Yeah, often not, probably words. And from there, I try and paint the story in different facets. So in different aspects. Sorry. So musically, production wise, what's the music saying along with the lyrics, that's important to me. But usually it's either a melody or start with a melodic idea or a vocal or sorry, a lyric idea, and then from there I just paint the picture, paint the story, and that's how I've always done it. Not entirely in that order, but I'm kind of free in that aspect. Whatever comes, that's the way it's gonna go. So yeah.
Your 2021 single called Lisbon. What could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind creating the single?
Yeah, that one's a fun one. So Lisbon is a really close song. I hold it close to my chest because in 2018 I participated in the Eurovision contest, and it was the Portuguese qualifier. So I was living in Portugal for a couple months, 3 months, and I enjoyed it so much. I had such a great experience at the contest, and I wanted to pay almost a tribute to my experience in Lisbon and kind of describe the beauty and the romanticism of Lisbon, because it's such a beautiful romantic city, filled with culture, and I wanted to capture that and encompass it in one song. So that's sort of where Lisbon stemmed from. I wrote it honestly the day I got back from Portugal. I was like, you know what? I want to pay tribute to this beautiful city, city that I love. My parents were born. Well, sorry, they weren't born in Lisbon, but they were basically raised their entire life in Lisbon. So it's a very meaningful song to me, and it was just really fun to write, and I think it turned out really great, and yeah, super stoked about it. When we were in Lisbon for lost tonight, kissing through the streets, trying to beat the headlight. Close my eyes, wake up to see how you in my arms on the road, trusting love. And run and run and run, just run away on home. When I look back and feel it was laughing back at me. About the recording process for this single, like how long did it take you to like finish it up and record it and then add it as like you released it as your single? Yeah, so this song was written in 2018, 2019, I think. Yeah. And I mean, it started off with a chord progression, and just a simple chord progression, and it took me about, honestly, in 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I had the song pretty much written in its entirety, without demoing or without any production. But yeah, it was after that we looked at it, we thought it was a great song, in the team at MDC, and didn't take too long, I'll be honest. It was everything just sort of flowed naturally. The musicians we had, they all loved the song. They treated it as if it were their own, and it was just a matter of, when do we release this, right? So we decided that now was the right time. And with COVID going on and wanting to travel and all those things, I think a song about a beautiful place, a beautiful location is it just made sense. And hopefully I can visit soon. I'd love to be back in Lisbon. Oh my goodness.
I would love to visit that country one day, actually. It's like on my
Yes,
list. Yeah.
Portugal.
I would love,
Portugal's beautiful.
yeah,
You should. And I'm not being biased because I'm Portuguese, but it is a beautiful country. And if
absolutely.
you have the opportunity to go and check it out,
Absolutely.
definitely go
Yes,
and check
it's
it
on my
out.
bucket list,
It's
so hopefully I
marvelous.
could go see it one day.
Yes, you
Yeah,
will. You will.
absolutely. So out of all the singles you've released, what would you say is your favorite one?
Ooh, favorite one. Sunset in the City sort of speaks it speaks to me the most because it initiated a lot of opportunities for me. Now that's not why it's my favorite song, but I think I truly believe it's my favorite song because it was maybe the toughest song to write, which is honestly a little weird because in terms of like chords and musically, difficult. It's not that difficult, but in terms of melodic choices and the lyrics, I was stumped. I had like one sentence for the longest time. I had, the first line of the song, and that's about it for maybe like a couple of months. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just set this aside. And then one day with a friend of mine, Kristen, we sat down and I was like, you know what, Kristen, I got this tune and I'm sort of stuck. I got I got chords. I got That's about it. I got a verse, a chorus, pre-chorus. What do you think? And then it sort of naturally started flowing. And in like a day, basically, after several months of just not doing anything with it, and struggling with it, in a couple of hours, we were able to write the whole song. And maybe because two brains are better than one, but oh my God. And just from there, I just fell in love with the song. I loved it. And I think that's honestly my favorite one. And even the Portuguese song's pretty cool. And the story behind that one is I didn't think I was going to write a Portuguese song ever in my life. And the idea was, you know what? You went to Portugal, you've done a lot of stuff there. Hey, let's write a Portuguese song. Cool, let's do it. And it turned out to be a really good song as well. And it started off out in English, and maybe one day I'll release it in English. But it started off as an English song, but we just translated it into Portuguese with some help there. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And um, what accomplishments, that you see yourself achieving in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 years, hopefully, with pandemic has made it super hard, but I've been, still working away. I think here in Canada, in Ontario, it's been quite a rough time. I know in the U.S. it's been a little easier. You guys are off and ready to go, but we're still under a few restrictions and lockdowns, unfortunately, which has stopped a lot. But in the meantime, we have been recording. We've been writing. I've been writing, working with a few cool producers, and the plan is we want to get another record out, which will sound a little different than the first record, but get a record out and do some touring. And big. I'm not too concerned about big achievements. For me, I do it in increments, small increments, and um, whatever comes. But my goal is to tour, to get my music heard, whether it's radio, streams, doesn't matter. I just want my music out there, and I want people to know a little bit more about me, my story, and hopefully, you know, get people to, or not get people, but hopefully people relate to what I have to say and what my music has to say. So that's my big goal. I mean, we all have our goals, big venues and all those things, but and those are definitely dreams, that I have. But for me, in the next 5 years, if I'm still playing music, if I'm touring, I'm very happy with that. That makes me feel like I'm doing a good job, at least for myself. So
Absolutely. You will do great, and I hope you achieve all the goals you want to accomplish in the future. I know you'll do great. And one more thing before we go, Peter. Where can our listeners find you and your music?
So I'm on all platforms. I'm on Instagram at Peter Serrado. Everything is at Peter Serrado. Made it super, super easy. YouTube, honestly, all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, anywhere. But yeah, I'm even on Twitter. And I'm starting a TikTok. So hopefully that works out well. So you can find me on TikTok as well at Peter Serrado. I'll be posting some stuff very soon. I'm not familiar with it, but yeah, at Peter Serrado on all the social media platforms, and just Peter Serrado on any digital streaming platform.
Thanks to Peter for sitting down with us and talking all about his music. If you want to see more interviews just like this, you can find us online at Studio 67 NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Nouran Shaban, and remember to always stay positive.